Today's game is being broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAP button on your television. Moments away from the opening kick. Ravens will kick it off to Cincinnati. Deep man is Alex Erickson, and the ball has come off the tee for Justin Tucker. We could see a lot of that over the course of the afternoon here in Baltimore.
Interesting. The Ravens win the toss, defer, and are choosing to kick into the wind here to start the ball game.
Ravens have won 5 of their last 6 to put themselves in position to qualify for the playoffs. They were 4-5 at the bye. We're underway from Baltimore. Returnable from the 5, Erickson. And he's chopped down at the 21-yard line. That's where Cincinnati will open up. Let's bring in the third member of our crew down to the field, and Evan Washburn.
Well, Lion, you broke the news. It's cold here in Baltimore. Record low temps in this stadium. But players I spoke with said they don't feel like it's going to have a big effect on this game. One reason why the surface here should remain true. Heated coils underneath the turf to keep this field from freezing. The real concern, guys, and you saw it, it's the gusting winds, 15 to 25 miles per hour. Also, ball security with this hard football.
All right, Evan, Cincinnati opens up with Andy Dalton leading this Bengals offense. They are dead last in the NFL in total offense. Nice hesitation move on a zigzag from Joe Mixon, and he spilled out across the 30-yard line. That's an 11-yard pickup for the rookie. Andy Dalton in the first meeting, Dan, which was back in week 1. Dalton had his problems against Baltimore. They turned it over 5 times, 4 picks.
And one costly fumble. A couple of those picks, though, were tipped balls, so he's feeling better about that performance than you might think.
Ravens have feasted against teams under 500, 8-1 against teams with a losing record. Again, the stutter step from Mixon, and nicely done. It's a 6-yard gain for the Rook. Let's check out the starting offense for Cincinnati. They've had to shuffle things around with the injuries to Oboihi and Smith. So Bowling is at left tackle. Westerman will rotate with Alex Redmond. Mixon was a question mark, and he's in there. Mixon, an injured right ankle, but he's been the guy the last 2 carries. Eric Winston is now shaken up and is limping towards the Cincinnati sideline. So an area where they do not have a whole lot of depth. The veteran Winston is heading off.
Let's take a look at big number 73. You can see Mosley will kind of slam into that right ankle, trying to make the tackle on Mixon.
Kent Perkins, rookie out of Texas, is now in there at the right side, right tackle spot for Cincinnati. 2nd and 4 for the Bengals. Fake it. Dalton. Good hands. Zama gets stamped and holds onto it. Brandon Carr with the lick. It's a 7-yard pickup and a first down for the Bengals. Defensively for the Baltimore Ravens, one of the better units in the NFL. This front is huge, led by Brandon Williams. Terrell Suggs, another Pro Bowl for him. His 7th. He was voted the team MVP. And Marlon Humphrey, he's had to act like a veteran quickly. The rookie forced into action because of injuries. Giovanni Bernard gets the call. Bernard had 30 touches last week in that upset over Detroit, the most he's had, not just in the NFL, from his mouth in his entire life. He's never touched the ball 30 times.
He started playing when he was 6 years old.
Pop Warner, he was playing with older kids.
Lying about his age.
Yeah, he wasn't really supposed to be in that league. Hand off to Bernard. His older brother was in it, so Bernard was allowed to play, and he gets hit by Tony Jefferson. That's a 7-yard pickup, and Cincinnati is methodically moving it down the field on this Baltimore defense.
And they're going up-tempo right to the line of scrimmage, keeping the Ravens on their heels as Baltimore chooses to substitute along the defensive line.
Ravens are trying to finish in the top 10 in team defense for the 4th consecutive year. They enter action number 9 in that category. Cincinnati is 31st in the NFL in rushing. Dalton on a line. It's caught by A.J. Green. And Green is slammed down at the 35 by Brandon Carr. It's a 6-yard gain through the air.
Well, what Dalton saw is man-to-man coverage on the outside. And this is a sure tackle here by Carr, or Green might have been able to pick up some significant yardage. He slides all the way down to his ankles to bring him down.
Cincinnati on the move, a 2nd and 4 at the 35. They've won 7 of the last 11 meetings between these two teams. Baltimore has not swept the Bengals since 2011. 2nd down, running play, the speed. Joe Mixon crosses the 20-yard line, and he's got a 1st down for the Bengals. Mixon has looked spry, 18 yards on the rip.
Well, let's check out Kent Perkins, the rookie right tackle here, as this is exactly where they want to run the ball. Good kick out block there, and then the speed of Mixon. He certainly looks like he's over that sprained ankle from last week.
Giovanni Bernard back in there. New set of downs for Cincinnati. Fake it. Dalton looking incomplete with a flag thrown. A.J. Green, the intended target, and a flag down at the 1. Brandon Carr in coverage.
Pass interference. Defense, number 24. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic 1st down.
Our referee is Ron Torbert.
And look at the right hand twisting Green as he's trying to adjust to this ball. And the official right on the spot. 16-yard penalty down to the 1-yard line. And the way the Bengals are running the ball this first drive, Baltimore can stop him here.
The Bengals are making it look easy. It's a 1st and goal for Cincinnati. Play fake. Dalton back of the end zone. Hauled in for the touchdown. Tyler Kroft. Strong early statement by Cincinnati.
Yeah, beautiful throw by Dalton at 6'6". Kroft goes up for his 6th catch for a touchdown this season. And he's going to beat the inside linebacker there, Correa. And again, the ball placement up nice and high for a guy 6'6".
Well, because of the injury to Tyler Eifert this year, back surgery, Tyler Kroft has seen more chances than he had in his previous 2 years combined. They never even got to 3rd down on that drive, Dan. That's how easy it was for Cincinnati. Bullock curves it through. 8 plays, 78 yards. Joe Flacco on the offense. They haven't been on the field yet. They just watched the Cincinnati offense bring it downfield for the score. Dalton, the floater, to put the Bengals up 7-0. This is a Cincinnati offense that has averaged just 17.3 points per game, 28th in the NFL in scoring. They did not score in the first meeting against Baltimore. They were shut out 20-0. And on their first drive here in Week 17, they put a touchdown on the board.
Yeah, they gained 47 yards on the ground, another 14 through the air for Dalton. He was a perfect 3 for 3 in the big play, the pass interference that brought the ball down to the 1-yard line. But this crowd is shocked, those that decided to come out on this frigid day.
A lot of empty seats here at M&T Bank Stadium. That's been a theme this season for the Baltimore Ravens at home. This is normally one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. Bullock kicks it off. Caught by Chris Moore. And then Moore is stood up shy of the 25. All right, time for an NFL Today update. They're going to be busy in New York. Let's check in with Boomer Esiason.
Yeah, and I'm going to be busy, all right. Touchdowns flying all over the place. How about Tyrod Taylor to Nick O'Leary? 7 plays, 72 yards. This is the first drive of the game for the Buffalo Bills. They take a 7-0 lead over the home Dolphins. Back to you, Ian.
QB to tight end combination, Boomer, in that one, just like we've got here. The Buffalo Bills certainly rooting for the Cincinnati Bengals in this one. Handoff. It is a give going up the middle. And a gain of 4 yards for Alex Collins. Joe Flacco. He's just not making mistakes. You look over the last 6 games, Dan, that's been the positive sign for the Baltimore offense, and it's paid off in their results.
He's had solid protection, number one. A great touchdown to interception differential, and a solid percentage This last 4 must-win games, he feels has prepared the Ravens for the postseason.
Another handoff for Collins. Collins, he's got a crease. The zigzag move by Collins to the 45. He wasn't even on the active roster when these two teams met in week 1. He was on the practice squad. It's a 16-yard gain for Collins.
Yeah, working off the left side, getting a good block here by Max Williams, number 87, the tight end, and down the field, Ronnie Stanley showing his athleticism from left tackle, number 79.
So now 84 yards away from 1,000 for the season. Fake it, Flacco. Drop ball, Buck Allen. Could not haul it in. Incomplete. Let's check out the offense for Baltimore. Improving offense as the season has gone on, and a big reason the offensive line solidified. Austin Howard was a question mark in this one with a knee injury, but he's in there. No Jeremy Maclin once again. Maclin forced to sit out with left knee trouble, so Chris Moore gets an opportunity with the first unit. 2nd and 10 for Baltimore. Allen remains in the backfield. It's been the 1-2 punch of Collins and Allen during this stretch. They sell the fake. Flacco throwing on the move. Incomplete. Mike Wallace, the veteran, the intended receiver, could not haul it in.
This is 2 straight throws that Flacco has thrown low. Buck Allen had a tough attempt on the first play, and now this one, watch how low this comes into Mike Wallace. On a cold day like today, you can see Flacco, he's got Wallace in his sights, just delivered a poor pass.
In stride. Catch is made with a flag down short of the first down, caught by Wallace. Penalty marker was thrown just as Wallace brought it in. Dre Kirkpatrick.
They're going to get Wallace for pass interference, Ian. He pushed off at the top of that route.
Well, if you're Cincinnati, turn it down.
Absolutely. Bring up 4th down.
Pass interference. Offense, number 86, blocking downfield. That penalty has been declined. Result of the play is 4th down.
So they call Nick Boyle on it.
Yeah, my apologies to Mike Wallace. He got separation legally, but Boyle with the block downfield while the ball was in the air.
Still a fairly quiet drive after the back-to-back Collins runs. And Sam Cook, who's averaging 45 yards a kick. Punting to Erickson. Erickson moves forward. Fair catch called for just across the 15-yard line. That's where Cincinnati will have it after the 36-yard boot. 9-minute mark of the first. The Bengals up 7-0 on Baltimore. Game time temperature 19 degrees with the wind. Feels right around 10 degrees inside M&T Bank Stadium. Swing pass caught by Bernard. And Giovanni Bernard working that sideline. Good enough for a first down. As he crossed the 25, Owasso will get credit for the tackle.
And talking to offense coordinator Bill Lazor, he stressed to me, told Andy to take what the defense gives you. Don't force the ball down the field. Just take some of these short passes. Right now, he's 4 for 4 for 25 yards and another first down.
Dalton, fake it, fires downfield and nobody home. A.J. Green was trying to break free along the sideline, but Brandon Carr was there.
A good drive for Joe Mixon on the opening drive. 3 carries, averaging 11 yards per carry. That will set up the 1-yard play action pass after the fake to Mixon to Croft to the back of the end zone.
142 rushing yards last week against Detroit. Finally got the running game in gear. It's a give to Bernard, and Giovanni Bernard with another strong run for Cincinnati.
And they're running left behind Clint Bowling, who's normally the left guard, but because of injury has moved out to left tackle. And the couple of youngsters, Westerman and Redmond, doing a good job rotating at left guard last week, and we'll see that again today.
Eric Winston is back in at right tackle for Cincinnati. Kent Perkins had replaced him. Bernard sets up as a receiver. Shotgun for Dalton on a 3rd and 4. Dalton looks, and it's incomplete. He tried to squeeze one in to Tyler Kroft, who caught the touchdown on the first possession. And Cincinnati will punt. The Baltimore defense holds.
Yeah, great play by C.J. Mosley with his coverage on the tight end. Ball thrown low, and Mosley right there. Don't think Kroft would have got the first down if he had made that catch.
Kevin Huber is averaging 47 yards per punt. Return man is Campanaro at the 26 for Baltimore. He's averaging 11.9 yards per punt return. Huber, left-footed punter. Campanaro camps under it from the 29. And ducks out of bounds. Baltimore will take over after the 39-yard kick by Huber. Joe Flacco and the Baltimore offense back on the field. Baltimore Ravens wild card scenarios: win and they're in, or Tennessee lost to Jacksonville, Buffalo loss at Miami, Jacksonville, Tennessee scoreless, Bills with a 7-0 lead over the Dolphins. Ravens have it 1st and 10 at their own 35. Collins in the backfield. Joe Flacco, 112 straight passes without a pick, longest active streak, and Collins gets the call. Nothing there. George Iloka leading the charge for Cincinnati. It's a loss of 1 on the play.
Yeah, Iloka, the strong safety, playing close to the line of scrimmage, like an extra linebacker here. Left side of the screen, 43 sneaks up here, fights off the block of the tight end Boyle, and drops Collins for a 1-yard loss.
Danny Woodhead is in. Woodhead was injured in that Week 1 victory over Cincinnati. Was placed on IR. He's been back in the fold for Baltimore. Woodhead looking for an opening. Stacked up. Gain of 3 for Woodhead. NFL Today update. Send it to New York. JB and Boomer.
Boomer, how surprising is this Kamara kid?
Well, how much fun is he having? Look at this little hesitation right there. That's like a change up. It looks like the Bucs cover guys all forgot that they had to actually cover. They thought that he was going to take a knee. This is Alvin Kamara, 106-yard kickoff return. That's a Saints franchise record. They tie the score with the Bucs. Back to you, Ian and Dan.
He's a game changer. What a season he's put together. Flacco, deep shot, looking for Wallace, knocked away. Williams ranging over, and he just gave the Dikembe Mutombo wag to the crowd.
I think he had a shot at making this interception, but he wanted to make sure that Wallace didn't catch it. You can see William Jackson with good coverage there, and Williams with a swat away. Ball just slightly underthrown by Flacco. Again, throwing against the wind here in the first quarter.
And Baltimore will punt once again with Sam Cook. 2 deep. Erickson at the 16. Sailing kick. Erickson backpedals to the 12. And Erickson is out of bounds as he crossed the 20-yard line. A 51-yard punt, 10-yard return. First quarter action continues here in Baltimore. Today, the 50th anniversary of the Ice Bowl 67 NFL Championship. The Packers and the Cowboys. Temperature at kickoff was 13 below zero. The average wind chill dropped it to 48 below. Packers won that game 21-17. We're not quite at that level today. It's cold, not Ice Bowl cold.
What a classic game that was. Packers and Cowboys. Jerry Kramer with the key block for Bart Starr.
The still shots tell the story. Drop ball by Brandon LaFell, normally reliable in those spots. It's 2nd and 10 for Cincinnati. Bengals with a 7-0 lead on Baltimore. 6:08 to play in this opening quarter.
That was a good pass by Andy Dalton, leading LaFell right up the field, but this goes right through his hands because he was more concerned with the run after catch.
Give is to Mixon. Spins his way just short of the 29. Owasso, one of those young linebackers, making the stop. We asked C.J. Mosley. He's a 4-year guy, so not a veteran necessarily, but Mosley has become the leader of that young group with Owasso and Judon. And Mosley said they ask a lot of questions. They're self-starters. They've matured a lot. Both are in year 2 of their NFL careers. Play selection, 7 running plays, 7 passes for Cincinnati. They face a 3rd and 3. Dalton hooks a pass, and it's on time to Tyler Boyd. Boyd has not put up the numbers that he had a year ago in his rookie season, but Dalton said very talented and knows how to get open.
Yeah, and as a slot receiver, he showed this last year, which is unusual for a first-year player to have the ability to make the catch and make the right breaks over the middle out of the slot.
Dan, 5 completions for Dalton to 5 different receivers. Under 5 minutes to go here in the opening quarter. Dalton will make an adjustment. Play clock is down to 2, down to 1. And Dalton will use a timeout. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Fidelity Investments. Cincinnati had 364 yards of offense last week in that 26-17 win over Detroit, and allowed just 276 against the Lion team that was trying to stay in the playoff chase. It's a give to Mixon, turns the corner, and Mixon lowers the shoulder, and he's down at the 44-yard line.
Boy, and he liked that contact too, didn't he? And of course, right in front of his own team on the sidelines there. Mixon off to a great start. 5 carries, 46 yards.
They mark him down to the 43. Last week had 3 carries for 12 yards. Injured that right ankle. He had missed the previous 2 games with a concussion. Week 1 against the Baltimore defense, 8 carries for 9 yards for Joe Mixon. Shotgun for Dalton. Dalton puts it upstairs. It's caught along the sideline, but out of bounds. A.J. Green matched up with the rookie from Alabama, Marlon Humphrey.
A good concentration by A.J. Green, but Humphrey kind of pushes him to the sidelines here. Left foot's in, right foot out. Good call by the officials.
Over his last 6 games against Baltimore, Green has gone for 678 yards and 6 touchdowns. Green is on the sideline for this 3rd and 5. Dalton. Kept by Bernard, and he's buried. Bernard had nowhere to go after the catch. C.J. Mosley sniffed it out. It's a loss of 5, and the Pro Bowler makes the play on the swing pass.
A.J. Green limping after that last pass incompletion, but look at the play by Mosley from his middle linebacker spot. He talked about how he's been tutoring the youngsters. Said it wasn't very long ago when he was the guy that was with all the questions. He went from learning to leading.
Kevin Huber, the punt. Campanaro from the 22. Runs into a crowd and gets walloped along the sideline. The concern right now for Cincinnati is A.J. Green. He brought that ball in along the sideline, but it was out of bounds. And then as he made his way towards the Cincinnati bench area, the limp became more noticeable. Let's check in with Evan Washburn.
Well, guys, quickly here, it's the right foot that's the area of concern. He has made his way over to the bench. He's working with athletic trainers, currently standing on that foot, able to put weight on it, but is in some clear discomfort. They're working on the flexibility and flexion of it. As we get more, we'll let you know.
Green over 1,000 yards for the 6th time in his 7 years. Flacco, plenty of time. Dumps it off for Alex Collins. And Collins hit just before the 40-yard line by Harding Nickerson and Vincent Ray in collaboration. It's a 7-yard pickup on the catch and run.
And trying to speed things up, get some up-tempo offense going right to the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 3. Flacco through the hands of Collins. NFL Today update. Let's send it to New York. JP and Boomer.
Kamara more than doing his part.
He's at it again, this time a 7-yard cutback run. They take the lead 14-7 over the Bucs. Remember, Ian, if they win and the Rams lose, who are losing right now to San Francisco 10-0, they will flip-flop in the seedings in the NFC. The Saints would be number 3 and the Rams number 4. Back to you guys in Baltimore.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Flacco throwing, dropped. Would have been a first down for Wallace. Incomplete. Baltimore will punt. And we've seen this a couple of times now for Baltimore in the first quarter.
Well, what it looks like is that the cold weather may be affecting the hands of the receivers, because these balls are not that far off target. But you can see the ball goes right through the hands, right off the wrist of Wallace there. And we've seen a number of drop passes here in the first half.
Wallace has upped his numbers in recent weeks. 47 catches, 708 yards, 3 touchdowns this season for Wallace. Cook the punt. Erickson moves forward from the 22. Flag down as Erickson put a spin on to the 26-yard line. 39-yard punt, but the return was just 4 yards. Chuck Clark on special teams makes the play. Jerry Rossberg, longtime special teams coach and the associate head coach in his 10th year with the organization.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 52 of the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Cincinnati's ball, first half.
Brandon Bell called on the penalty. Well, earlier this month, Andy Dalton and his wife JJ hosted 12 families as part of the Holiday Hearts program. Families enjoyed a holiday-themed evening, including dinner, treat making, and games. Each family also received gifts, including a Christmas tree. Great idea during the holidays. Andy Dalton and his family heavily involved in the community in Cincinnati. 6 out of 10 for Dalton, and the touchdown pass to Tyler Croft. A.J. Green is out there for the Bengals, and he sets up in the slot. Shotgun for Dalton. Keep it on the ground for Mixon. Joe Mixon continues to find openings, and it's a 5-yard gain on the acceleration, hit by C.J. Mosley of Baltimore. We're down to 2:22 remaining in the first quarter.
And again, the Bengals dictating the tempo here in the first quarter. Rare to see this on the road, but this crowd really not giving much resistance to the cadence of Dalton or his ability to change plays.
2nd and 5. Bernard swallowed up by Brandon Williams. NFL Today update. Back to New York. JB and Boomer.
Hey, Ian, the Chargers drew this up.
Check this out. Melvin Gordon runs 14 yards. He fumbles it into the air, right into the hands of Keenan Allen. He takes it the rest of the way for a fumble recovery touchdown for the Chargers. They're on the board first versus the Raiders. 7-0. Back to you guys in Baltimore.
Well, that's when you know things are going right. And for the Chargers, an opportunity potentially to be a playoff team if they get some help included in that equation is right here in Baltimore. The Ravens and the Bengals. Cincinnati with a 7-0 lead. 3rd and 6 for Dalton. Dalton connects with Tyler Boyd. It's a first down. That quiets the crowd. And they'll move the chains, working against Maurice Kennedy, another young player forced into action because of injury.
Well, what you're seeing out of Dalton is good rhythm. Getting back in the pocket, setting his feet, and getting rid of the ball on time. That time to Boyd for the first down.
Baltimore lost Jimmy Smith. Torn Achilles. Dalton, deep ball. A.J. Green. Dalton drops it in the bucket. Clean catch for Green. 24 yards.
Well, he dropped it in the bucket is right. That left foot is out of bounds, though. Harbaugh's going to throw the red flag right at the 50-yard line. This one's going to come back. Good job again by Humphrey, though, forcing Green so close to the sideline that when he makes the catch, he cannot come down in bounds.
Baltimore is challenging the ruling in the field of the completed catch. We'll review the play.
Cincinnati tried to rush up to the line and get this snap, but this one's going to be an open and shut case.
That's a real good job by the coaching staff up in the press box to see the replay as instantly as we did and get the word down to Harbaugh to get that red flag out and challenge this. Good teamwork by the coaches.
Each stadium, the speed is different in how quickly game operations gets the replays up on the board. Here, it was quick. The fans reacted as Cincinnati got to the line. You had already heard the reaction from this crowd when they saw the replay. Harbaugh tossed the red flag, and this one should be a quickie. Call on the field was a clean catch. 24-yard completion.
And this is what the only negative last week for the Bengal offense was in their inability to get the ball deep down the field to A.J. Green or in the seams to the tight ends Croft and Uzama. They had 8 chances and missed all 8 of them. Now they're 0 for 2 here in the first half.
The play, the ruling on the field has changed. The receiver got 1 foot down inbounds and 1 out of bounds. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be Cincinnati's ball, 2nd and 10 on the 26-yard line. Baltimore is not charged with their timeout, and they have 2 challenges remaining.
Great coverage by the rookie Marlon Humphrey.
Well, when we asked John Harbaugh what stood out about this year's group, he said the veteran leadership, both by example and vocally, it's rubbed off on the younger guys. Players like Marlon Humphrey, they don't want to let the veterans down, and that's a strong dynamic, especially when you hit these pivotal games late in the season. Week 17, it's there for Baltimore for the taking. Get the win, you're in the playoffs.
1 minute, 8 seconds, please. 1:08 on the game clock.
We're going to add 8 seconds to the game clock. 1:08 to play in this first quarter.
And the other thing for Humphrey is he didn't start right away because Jimmy Smith was there, but he really was able to observe Smith and see, you know, how it's done from one of the great ones, and really not starting benefited him. And he's playing very well.
We asked Weddle about Humphrey. He said he's a gamer, he's humble, he wants to be coached, he's got a load of talent. 2nd and 10, running play for Mixon, and this time Baltimore was ready for him. Brought down after the gain of 3 by Judon and Henry. NFL Today update. JB and Boomer.
Tennessee explosion.
It's Mariota to Henry. It's like Fouts to Muncie. How about this? Derrick Henry's going to take it 66 yards, right down the numbers. Yards have been hard to come by in this game, but this is the biggest play of the game thus far. Extra point was blocked. Titans take a lead, 6-0. Back to you guys in Baltimore, Ian and Dan.
Nice Heisman connection there for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, go Ducks.
You got to get 1 in per game, right?
Maybe more.
Is that your quota? 3rd and 7. Dalton forced into a bad throw. He had to rush it as Levine was blitzing. And Cincinnati will punt.
Well, Levine has 3 sacks on the year, blitzing out of the safety spot. Here he is, number 41. He's going to come clean right up the middle on Dalton. He was forced to throw early and off target.
Cincinnati comes into action the lowest time of possession in the NFL. That has not been the case in this first quarter. They've had the football for nearly 11 of the minutes. Huber to Campanaro. Campanaro won't even touch it. That ball rolls out of bounds with 12 ticks of the clock remaining. So for the Baltimore Ravens, you win, and you don't have to worry. You lose, and then some other things have to come into play. Tennessee has got the lead on Jacksonville. Buffalo has the advantage on Miami. So those games are not going the way that Baltimore would like right now. But I don't think Harbaugh and the Ravens are concerned about it. They just want to take care of business and move on to 2018 with a playoff berth at 10-6. And off to Collins. Sheds 1 tackler, and Collins will pick up a yard on that effort, working the perimeter. Glasgow, the rookie from Michigan, makes the stop. End of the first quarter, 7-0. Cincinnati leading Baltimore. Will come back to Maryland after these messages. This is the NFL on CBS. First quarter numbers here in Baltimore. Cincinnati ran it down Detroit's throat a week ago. It seems to be the same game plan here against this Ravens defense. 9 first downs in the first quarter. Baltimore had just 1.
And a couple of 3-and-out possessions as well. So Cincinnati defensively and offensively dominating that first quarter.
2nd and 9 for the Ravens to open up the second quarter. Flacco, they handle the rush. Soft toss caught by Woodhead. and hit immediately after picking up 4 yards. Ray and Evans combined. Well, the Ravens' success can be traced to an NFL-leading +17 turnover differential. They've had their ups and downs this year. 37-point loss to the Jaguars in London. That 40-point win against Miami in Week 8. And they've won 5 of 6 after the bye to put themselves in this position and the inside track to the wild card spot. Timeout taken. The Bengals have 1 timeout left. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from T-Mobile. 3rd and 5 for Baltimore. Just underway in the second. Flacco steps up. Flacco throwing on the move. Flicks it downfield. Knocked away. Play made by William Jackson, who continues to play at a high level in his matchup with Mike Wallace.
Now Wallace got behind Jackson here down the sidelines, but watch the catch-up speed by Jackson. Ball hanging up again, just a touch underthrown, or this would have been a Baltimore touchdown.
4 possessions for Baltimore, 4th punt for Sam Cook. Alex Erickson standing at the 18-yard line. Erickson, fair catch called for, and he's got it just short of the 14. It's a 47-yard kick. 7-0 lead for Cincinnati, and they have relied on the running skills of Joe Mixon.
Yeah, he came into the game averaging 3.3 yards per carry, but so far 7 carries, 54 yards. That long one there of 17, but showing good patience and power for the Bengals in that first quarter.
Mixon, the team's leading rusher this season. They lost Jeremy Hill to an ankle injury on IR. Looked like Mixon was going to be the guy. Marvin Lewis just loves his spirit, the energy that he brings. He doesn't want Mixon to ever lose that. He told him, do not fall into bad habits. What you're doing is correct. Play action. Dalton has plenty of time. Dalton out of the pocket, looking downfield. Dalton stops and throws it away. Not going to take any chances. Everybody was covered. 2nd and 10 for Cincinnati.
Well, he wanted to go deep down the field. And you can see the coverage by the Ravens. Had crossing routes down here. But here's the outlet receiver that he misses. After the fake to Mixon, Dalton rolls away from Mixon. And here he is wide open here, but impossible for Dalton to see him as he's chased to the sideline.
Well, the timing was thrown off as Mixon tripped. Dean Pease defense trying to ratchet up the pressure. Mixon gets knocked on the side after the 4.5-yard gain. And Mixon will head to the sideline. Eric Weddle, the Pro Bowler, makes the stop for Baltimore.
And really, the Bengals aren't picky where they're running the ball. They're running it inside, outside, a couple of delay type of runs. But right now, just dominated on the ground against a real good run defense of Dean Pease. They only average giving up 108 yards per game on the ground, and already 77 yards gained by the Bengals.
This is a 3rd and 5 for Cincinnati. Dalton, punt, throw, nearly intercepted. Mosley tried to get under it as it bounced off Bernard, and it's 4th down.
Now finally the Ravens are getting a better pass rush. That's back-to-back pass plays for the Bengals that Dalton has had to move.
Holding. Offense number 62. That penalty has been declined. Result of the play is 4th down.
That's the first-year player, Alex Redmond, alternating at left guard here. He's going to reach out and just grab Zadarius Smith. That ball in the air for a long time. Dalton had started hot, 4 for 4. Since that time, just 3 out of 11. And better pass pressure by the Ravens.
8th punt that we've had in this first half combined. Kevin Huber kicking to Campanaro. Hangs up there for Campanaro, catches at the 40, and he's out of bounds out near midfield for Baltimore. 41-yard punt, 6-yard return. Flacco and the Ravens still trying to get on the board at home. It's been a punt fest for the Baltimore Ravens in this first half. First 4 possessions all resulting in punts. But the Ravens open up at the 47-yard line. It's a give to Collins. Collins can't break through that wave. Jordan Willis leads it for Cincinnati. It's a 1-yard pickup. And for Alex Collins, he gets cut by Seattle. He saw Baltimore as a great opportunity, saw it as a second chance. Tommy Hammock is the running back coach for the Ravens, and Hammock actually recruited him at Wisconsin. Now Collins ended up going to Arkansas, but he felt very comfortable with Hammock in that relationship. There was a familiarity. It's been a great fit. Flacco throws, but he tried to lead Collins too far offline. And it's 3rd and 9. Dre Kirkpatrick was there for Cincinnati.
You always hear about players playing with a chip on their shoulder, and a lot of guys have different motivation, but John Harbaugh said that the chip on Alex Collins' shoulder is a positive one because he does want to make an impression here in Baltimore. Nothing like getting cut to make you play harder.
5th-round pick of Seattle. Thought he was part of the solution there. Was surprised when he got cut. Flacco, deep ball. There was some separation. Incomplete. Mike Wallace, again the intended target. Kirkpatrick makes the play defensively for Cincinnati.
Well, again, Wallace has to wait for the ball to come down, and Kirkpatrick can catch up to it. At one point, Wallace was 3 yards beyond Kirkpatrick, but the ball again underthrown by Flacco. That's 3 times here in the first half, as Flacco now 3 out of 11 for only 17 yards, and a couple that could have been scores.
4 straight 3-and-outs for the Baltimore offense. High punt handled by Erickson, and he is out of bounds. Cincinnati will get the football back with a 7-0 lead here in Baltimore. Baltimore icons, Johnny Unitas, Cal Ripken, Michael Phelps, Ray Lewis, full moon. Second quarter action continues. Getting out of trouble is Joe Mixon. Flag down. Mixon lost the ball at the end of the play. Baltimore's got it. Nobody has forced more turnovers than this Baltimore defense. Eric Weddle with the recovery.
That penalty is declined, result of the play. First down, Baltimore.
This is 21 times now they've forced a fumble. They've recovered 12 of them. And for Weddle, this is his 3rd.
Mosley made the hit on the strip. Mixon loses it. Weddle is there to jump on it for Baltimore.
There was a penalty. It looked like it was going to be holding against the Bengals. So that good run would have been called back anyway, but Mixon with his 3rd fumble of the season.
Plus 18 turnover differential for the Baltimore D, a defense that was once run by Marvin Lewis. 6 years, won a Super Bowl with that group. So the Ravens look at this opportunity. They open up the drive at the Cincinnati 34. Fake it. Flacco. Drop ball. Alex Collins. It's happening over and over again for the Baltimore offense.
Well, defensively, the Bengals are going to, they're thinking about Flacco going deep, so they drop into a zone here and force him to come back down to Collins, and Collins just flat drops this ball. Perfectly thrown by Flacco, but another drop pass for Harbaugh's boys.
Flacco is now 3 of 12 for just 17 yards. 2nd and 10, 12:04 mark of the second quarter. Motion man is Chris Moore. Running play. Alex Collins accelerates. Hit by Hardy Nickerson. It's a 6-yard gain. We check in with Evan Washburn.
Well, guys, we've seen all these drops, and this is something that came up when we spoke with John Harbaugh about ball security and this weather. This football is as hard as a rock. I mentioned it off the top. He pointed to the fact that you have to see it in. You have to take that extra step to require those fundamentals in this game, and that's a lapse right now for Baltimore.
and maybe we see more of Danny Woodhead with that in mind. Sure-handed receiver. Woodhead is going to set up out wide. Baltimore is 0 of 5 on third downs. 5 drop passes today. Flacco packs the ball, throws, and it's poked away. Evans, the rookie out of Oklahoma.
And you were right. He was trying to get the ball to Woodhead on a slant route, but look at the layout here by number 50. Woodhead had a step on the corner, but a tremendous reaction by the rookie Jordan Evans.
So Baltimore will settle for a Justin Tucker field goal attempt. Marty Morningweg's offense couldn't convert on third down. This is a 46-yarder for Tucker, who has made 17 consecutive field goals. Make it 18 in a row. Nobody does it better than Tucker. Baltimore on the board. It's 7-3 Cincinnati. We're in the second quarter. Back to M&T Bank Stadium after this. Over the last 5 years, nobody's made more field goals than Justin Tucker. That's 201. And the last one from 47 yards away. He'll kick it off for Baltimore. Deep man is Alex Erickson for Cincinnati. And it's coming out to the 25-yard line. Maybe this 4:25 start throws off your routine a bit, Dan. Justin Tucker, before the game.
Well, you got to get it done, and the band was out there.
Well, that's a penalty, I believe. There's movement.
Well, they had too many band members on the field.
Yeah, certainly.
But 90% success rate because he sticks to his routine, regardless of what obstacles may be presented.
7-3 Cincinnati, 11-13 to play in this first half. A Baltimore win, and they're in the playoffs. It's that simple. On first down, Dalton gets rid of it, and it's caught. Modest gain for Joe Mixon of 1 yard. C.J. Mosley there for Baltimore.
But again, pressure on Dalton had to come down to Mixon right away because he was forced out of the pocket. This Raven defense starting to pick things up.
And Cincinnati picking things up on offense. Up tempo here for Dalton. Waiting. Not much developed there for Mixon. He'll grind out a yard. Terrell Suggs, the Pro Bowler, makes the tackle for Baltimore, and it's 3rd and long for Cincinnati.
Yeah, you can see the momentum has swung now toward Baltimore after that Mixon fumble and the subsequent field goal by Tucker. Crowd's back into it. Is that fake fur?
I think that's fake fur, yeah. 3rd and 8. Green, the motion man, just 1 catch for 6 yards. Dalton, check it down. Giovanni Bernard could not break away. It's a 2-yard pickup through the air. Matthew Judon among those making sure that Bernard didn't get anywhere near the stick.
Now the Ravens have shut down the run, and they've been pressure now on Dalton. Bengals look like a different offense here in the second quarter after they dominated that first quarter.
Kevin Huber will punt it. And Campanaro, the return man at the 26 for the Ravens. We told you about the plus-minus differential. Ravens also, they've been very good in holding on to the football. They've only turned it over 16 times. The franchise low is 16 set back in 2012, the Super Bowl year. Campanaro is out of bounds at the 31, 39-yard punt. Ravens are down 7-3, but they've got the football with 9:14 to go in the second quarter. Now, these are not good numbers on either side, and the conditions certainly playing a role. Drop passes for the Baltimore Ravens. Dalton has tried to take a couple of deep shots. A.J. Green out of bounds.
And Flacco's been a little bit off target, especially on a deep ball where he looked like he had Mike Wallace a couple of times. But underthrown balls cost the Ravens.
Ravens have posted 4 straight home wins under Harbaugh. They are 59-20 at home. Flacco, a dying quail. It's incomplete. The ball was hit as Dunlap got in there, and Nickerson almost had an interception right into his chest.
Watch number 96. There's Dunlap, but he does this so often. Good pressure on the quarterback. He's got 6.5 sacks, but he also has defended 6 passes at 6'6".
Injured Raven is Chris Moore, and Moore is up and limping noticeably.
And that is huge for Baltimore.
Well, no Jeremy Maclin. Brashad Perriman is a healthy scratch for the Ravens. There are not a whole lot of options. Quincy Adebojo was brought up from the practice squad. Rookie out of Ole Miss. And Adebojo will see his first NFL action. And off to Collins. Stops, cuts. And tackled by Jordan Willis. 2-yard pickup for Collins. Baltimore has not been able to establish the run consistently. Collins had the one strong run for 16 yards, but that's about it.
Yeah, and on that play that Dunlap made on Flacco, Flacco wanted to go deep again, but the pressure was just in time to cause the incompletion.
On third down, Flacco is 1 out of 6. The Ravens yet to convert. Flacco pushed out of the pocket. Flacco pump and throw. Incomplete. And it's 4th down. Again, pressure from Dunlap.
Dunlap and Geno Atkins, the best interior defensive lineman, right in front of Vinny Ray here. Watch number 97 with the bull rush, forcing Flacco out of the pocket. And there Dunlap is waiting for him to cause that ball to sail out of bounds.
The 6th punt of the day for Sam Cook. Erickson goes back to the 18 and takes a pop along the sideline. Steven Johnson with the hit, and Erickson being checked on after the 9-yard return. Erickson was injured last week as well on a return. Tonight, it is a special edition of 60 Minutes about people who are making a difference in America. That's tonight on 60 Minutes, only CBS. Well, Erickson, helmet is off and in some obvious pain. The Bengals have the football at the 28-yard line. They've got a 7-3 lead on the Baltimore Ravens in what many believe will be the final game for Marvin Lewis as the head coach of the Bengals. Handoff to Bernard. Runs into a crowd, keeps the legs churning, and carries it to the 32. Picks up 4 yards on the play. We asked Marvin about the story circulating, and his answer to us was fairly telling. He said, "It's unfortunate that story got out about my future. You deal with it." And in his mind, it's really been a story since May. Didn't get the contract extension. We wish it wasn't that way. That's what Marvin said in our meetings, but this is the reality right now moving forward for Cincinnati. Lewis has been there 15 years. Dalton throws it into the ground. Bernard in the general vicinity, and now it's 3rd and 6.
I think the biggest problem, though, is the timing before that Minnesota game. And the Vikings just really took it to the Bengals right away. The players all in the locker room saw on social media what the story was with Marvin. That obviously was unfortunate timing there. Yeah,
the legacy for Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati. He brought relevance to the team. The 5 straight playoff appearance. They were all of a sudden competing in the AFC North, which wasn't the case prior to his arrival. Play clock winding down, and Dalton has to use the timeout. The flip side of that, when they made the playoffs, they didn't do anything with it in those appearances. 0-7 in the postseason. It's a franchise record for years as head coach for Marvin Lewis, 15 seasons. He finished 500 or better in 10 of those years. 4 AFC North titles during his tenure. And as mentioned, the OFER in the postseason. Second longest tenured coach in the NFL behind Bill Belichick. 6 years with Baltimore from '96 to 2001, including the Super Bowl year. Had that 1 year in Washington as defensive coordinator before he got the head job with Cincinnati. 3rd and 6. Bengals are out of timeouts. We have 7:28 to play in this first half. Motion man is LaFell. Dalton rifles to LaFell for a first down. Down at the 45. 13-yard hookup.
First catch of the day for Brandon LaFell. You can see again the rhythm and the eyeballs going right to LaFell. That ball bounces off his left shoulder pad into his hands.
This is a Cincinnati team that's won just 4 road games the last 2 seasons. Big gain for Giovanni Bernard. Kicking it into another gear as he crossed the 35. Chased down by Tony Jefferson. 21 yards on the run by Bernard.
Well, here's Clint Bowling, normally the left guard. But he's going to get the corner here with a good block. And Giovanni Bernard with the speed to outrun Mosley down the sidelines.
And all of a sudden, Cincinnati's in business in Baltimore territory inside the 35. It's Bernard again. Brings the pile with him to the 30 for a 4-yard pickup. Brandon Williams and Zadarius Smith there to make the play.
You talked about his 30 touches last week against Detroit. 23 carries on the ground for 116, another 7 catches for 52 yards, and showing power that time at 5'9". He goes low, and he's got strong legs to push the pile.
Fake it. Floater to Croft. Croft breaks a tackle. Tyler Croft bang down at the 10. Missed tackles from Baltimore. Owasso, 19 yards for Cincinnati.
Well, when you run the ball well, play action always seems to work, doesn't it? He rips the ball back away from Mixon. And how about the adjustment for the catch and then the move inside of Owasso takes it to the 10-yard line.
1st and goal for Cincinnati. Handoff to Mixon. Mixon takes a hit at the 7-yard line from Mosley and Suggs. 3-yard pickup.
We're seeing this more and more out of running backs around the league. Patience, a la Le'Veon Bell of the Steelers. That time just picking his way along the line until he saw an opening on the right side. Mixon picks up about 3.
A.J. Green sets up on the outside. 2nd and goal. We approach 5 minutes to go in this first half. Bengals trying to add to their lead. Dalton on again. Mixon stumbles to the 5. 2-yard pickup. 3rd and goal for Cincinnati.
And the Ravens came with a blitz, and looked like Mixon might have been able to get through there, but he just tripped as he went through the line of scrimmage. But the Ravens cannot afford to leave A.J. Green single covered here from the 5-yard line. 6'4", tremendous leaper, great target.
He's matched up with the rookie Humphrey. 3rd and goal. Dalton looks, pump, Dalton fires, wide open, touchdown, Tyler Croft. 2nd of the day for Croft, and the Bengals build on their lead.
Yeah, good pass protection for Dalton. He could really look around here. He's going to get inside the coverage of Chuck Clark as he drops into a zone. Nobody in the middle of the field for Croft. Weddle late coming over. Andy Dalton with a 2nd touchdown. But look at the pocket. Beautiful pocket there for Dalton. And Croft working the back line of the end zone.
9 plays, 72 yards. Dalton with multiple touchdowns to his tight end Croft. Extra point from Bullock is good. It's 14-3 Cincinnati.
Defensive backs are taught not to go any deeper than 5 yards in the end zone where they're in zone coverage. So what Croft does is he's going to go all the way to the back, and you can see that all the defensive backs are going to be about 5 yards deep. They don't want the ball obviously caught in front of them. So you can see Weddle kind of in no man's land there as the rookie Chuck Clark. I think he might have blown that coverage there on Tyler Croft.
Alex Redmond with the dirty dancing move. He just lifted Croft up in the air.
Is that what that move was?
I'm not sure. Nobody puts Croft in the corner. 14-3 Cincinnati. Bengals will kick it off, and this has been nightmarish for the Ravens. The way this first half has gone, the way that the other two games have developed. All part of the playoff equation for the Baltimore Ravens. Moore is in there for Baltimore. Lifted off the ground, and Moore is dropped across the 30-yard line. Flacco trots out. His team is in a 14-3 hole. Well, here are the scenarios. The win, of course, you don't have to worry about anything else. Or Tennessee lost to Jacksonville. So far, Tennessee's got the lead, 6-3. Or Buffalo lost at Miami. Bills with the advantage, 10-0 over the Dolphins.
In that Tennessee game, they missed the extra point after the Derrick Henry touchdown.
44th all-time meeting between the Ravens and the Bengals. First down, Flacco again deflected. Flacco couldn't get a clean pass off. Carlos Dunlap has been living in the pocket.
That's 3 plays for Dunlap in the last 2 series. He's 6'6", tremendous athlete. Gets inside Austin Howard and then makes the play on the ball. 8 straight incompletions now for Flacco.
2nd and 10. Flacco, good hands. And that's been a legitimate question. Where has Benjamin Watson been? The leading receiver this season for the Baltimore Ravens. Makes that catch for 5. Line of scrimmage is now the 36. Watson coming off a 5-catch, 40-yard performance last week. They go back-to-back for Watson, but not enough for the first down. Snuffed out by Jordan Evans.
Another good play by Jordan Evans. That ball moving around a lot. That should be an incomplete pass. It's well short of the first down, and they did wave it off as an incomplete pass. No need to go to New York for that replay, huh, bud?
Did not survive the ground, Dan.
Who does?
It's tough.
You know, but this is a heated coil field, so if you have any chance of surviving, it's today.
Sam Cook, the punt. Erickson, he's had a workout. Didn't know if Erickson would be back in there after the previous punt return, but he is, and he's driven backwards after the 41-yard kick. 3:22 left, Cincinnati with the football. Coming up, Verizon halftime report. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Cowher, the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Verizon halftime report.
That last drive for Cincinnati, they went 72 yards in 9 plays. Really good balance. Better pass protection for Dalton.
Cincinnati has no timeouts remaining. Mixon in the backfield for the Bengals. Motion man is Boyd. They open up from their own 23-yard line with a 14-3 lead. Handoff, Mixon bounces off a tackler, ridden down as he curled. Zadarius Smith was there to greet him. We've got a variety of answers when we asked the Bengals players, what's at stake here. Giovanni Bernard said, we want to go out with a bang. We don't want last week to be the high moment. Hand off to Mixon, slashing across the 25-yard line, and it brings up 3rd down as Michael Pierce makes the play defensively. It's a 3-yard pickup. You mentioned something about a dying goose, but it really was more of a swan song. I think that's what Bernard was relaying to us.
Yeah, and the motivation. What are you playing for? He says, I'm playing for my teammates. The guy that I count on, they count on me. Other guys playing for contracts. Some guys just playing for the love of the game.
3rd and 6. Dalton hooks a pass. Open man is LaFell. And a 1st down, a breakdown. Another conversion for Cincinnati to the tune of 22 yards in between Humphrey and Weddle.
Yeah, longest completion of the day for Dalton. He gets behind Humphrey, does LaFell. And a beautiful touch pass over the top for the conversion out to midfield for the Bengals as they continue to roll. But without any timeouts, it could be more difficult.
They have 14 first downs in the first half. Baltimore has 1. Cincinnati with a 14-3 lead. The Bengals are looking for more before we hit the break. Coming up, Verizon Halftime Report. JB and the rest of the gang in New York. Latest NFL scores and highlights all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Just a sense of shock around this stadium that this game has transpired the way that it has in the first half. Cincinnati 14, Baltimore 3. The Bengals have looked like a crisp offense. Certainly running the football. Mixon 77 yards. Bernard 47 on the ground. Give it to Bernard. And Bernard cuts it to the outside. Flag is thrown as he shuffled to the perimeter. Tony Jefferson there defensively. 4-yard pickup for Bernard.
Holding. Offense, number 62. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 1st down.
62 is Alex Redmond. Congratulations to Alex and his wife Madeline. She gave birth to their first child, Jeremiah. 9 pounds, 14 ounces.
Looks like a offensive guard to me.
Right now, maybe. Congrats. Beautiful little boy. Dalton tosses to Bernard. And they flock to him. Led by Humphrey. Play is whistle dead. Clock is moving. We're down to 1:38 left to play in this first half.
And this is where Dalton's got to be real careful not to force the ball over the middle and to risk an interception. Be content with a 11-point lead going into halftime.
Ravens do have 3 timeouts remaining. We're down to a 1:20 to go here in the second quarter. Dalton downfield and makes the connection to Croft. That has been his best target of the day. Another catch for Croft. That's for 16.
That's 4 catches now for Croft. A couple of scores. Great move that time on the linebacker Owasso. Just enough for the first down.
And now we're under a minute to go. Line of scrimmage is the 40. Dalton. He's on target again to Croft. That covers 8 yards, 5 catches for 50, and it stops the clock with 50 seconds left as he gets out of bounds. Randy Bullock getting himself mentally and physically prepared for a potential field goal before halftime.
Dalton's gotten hot. 7 straight completions now. He's got his team close to range for Bullock.
2nd and 2. Dalton throws downfield, hauled in. Tyler Boyd with a sliding grab. And Cincinnati moving quickly here.
Yeah, get up and clock this one.
The spike by Dalton stops the clock with 34 seconds left. That was an 18-yard completion to Boyd.
8 straight completions now, and a really good catch here for Boyd. Going down, securing the catch.
John Harbaugh and the Ravens will be searching for answers at halftime. This might be a deeper hole to climb out of, with Cincinnati moving the ball once again with ease down the field. Second down for the Bengals. They have 34 seconds to work with. Dalton, quick hitter, nearly picked off. He was looking for A.J. Green, and it was Brandon Carr who had a beat on it.
Yeah, if Carr makes this catch, he's gone. He's going to look at A.J. Green the whole way, waiting for this slant route, and knocks the ball away. But if he makes the catch, he would have his third career interception return for a touchdown.
11th play of the drive. 3rd and 10 for Cincinnati. Dalton looks to Green, upstairs and over his head. In a matchup with Carr, it's 4th down.
That time, A.J. Green faked the slant route, went deep, and had Carr beat. Here's the slant route fake there, and then to the corner. And Dalton knows he let one get away.
Randy Bullock on for the field goal. It's a 32-yarder for Bullock. Had 4 field goals last week, including a 51-yarder. This one he knocks through to pad the Cincinnati lead. 17-3 Bengals. 23 seconds left in this first half. They go 12 plays, 63 yards with no timeouts. And Harbaugh and Morningweg having a conversation. Halftime, Tennessee 12-3 lead on Jacksonville. Halftime, Buffalo 10-0 over Miami. The Bengals have looked like the team that is playing for a playoff spot.
Back-to-back weeks, they've got it done offensively because they're getting guys healthy again. And then the change along the offensive line, moving Bowling out to left tackle, and a couple of the youngsters, Westerman and Redmond, playing left guard. More power. The running attack today has been outstanding. Talked about Mixon, 77 yards. Bernard has 50. And that's just on 22 carries.
Return man Chris Moore. Moore moves forward, brings it in at the 7. Moore makes a cut, sheds a tackler. Moore, he's got speed. Moore working the sideline. Moore still going, and he's dropped. With 8 seconds left, Moore nearly took it the distance. Finally, something to cheer about for the Baltimore faithful. 88 yards.
Well, we saw Moore go off the field with an injury. Looks pretty good here, but look at the help he's going to get down the field. Big number 88 working his way. Vince Maley doing a great job. Andy Dalton can't believe an 88-yard return, and the Ravens have 1 shot at the end zone here, maybe 2.
Special teams has put the Cincinnati defense in a tough position. Baltimore trying to take advantage. Flacco slings it. Touchdown! Joe Flacco tosses a strike. And it's Chris Moore.
As it should be. He got him down here. Reward him on this slant route. Getting inside the linebacker, Vincent Ray. Flacco with his best throw of the day, right on target. And a great job by Moore reaching out with his hands to shorten the distance the ball has to travel.
And boy, did they ever need that. The Ravens offense had been dormant. And Tucker on for the extra point. .88-yard return by Moore sets up the 6-yard touchdown. And it's a 7-point game with 4 seconds left in the first half.
guess we should give the training staff some props there for getting Moore back in the game after it looked like he was done for the day.
Now Terrell Suggs, one of the leaders on this team, heads over to Chris Moore. He's going to get a lot of pats on the helmet. Baltimore will receive the kickoff to start the second half. Officially 87 yards on that return by Moore. Their total yards of offense in the first half, Dan, is 61 yards. That's it for the Ravens. And he got 87 on the one return.
Well, the game is divided into three parts: offense, defense, and special teams.
This ball rolls and jumped on at the 18-yard line. 2 seconds remain on the clock as Carter was on the receiving end of that kick. And it's rejuvenated this crowd.
Well, Flacco showing the competitor he is with that one throw. Had been really struggling and betrayed by a lot of drop passes. It was 4 of 18 until that touchdown pass. Perfect throw.
Bengals take a knee. And we hit the break in Baltimore. End of the first half, Cincinnati with a 17-10 lead over the Ravens. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station. Getting ready for third quarter action here in Baltimore with the Bengals in front 17-10. The numbers are not pretty for the Ravens, but ultimately the only number that's going to matter is the final score. Ravens get a win and they'll be in the playoffs. Ian Eagle, Dan Fouts, Evan Washburn, the third member of our broadcast team. If you're John Harbaugh, obviously what Chris Moore did at the end of that first half could change your season. Moore with the 87-yard return and then the touchdown catch from Joe Flacco. They're down by 7 to Cincinnati.
Harbaugh was a special teams coach too, wasn't he?
He was,
Like,
yes.
It's funny how that thing works out like that. But yeah, Baltimore gets the ball to start the second half, and they're going to have to find some offense because they were just pitiful, especially on third down. 0 for 8 is just not going to get it done. The Bengals, you got to hand it to them. They're playing loose and free in that first half, and they just kind of fell asleep on that kickoff return.
Yep, Bengals, Andy Dalton was very solid throughout. It was the running game that set the tone for Cincinnati. You could tell early on the Bengals had a game plan, and it involved Joe Mixon and a whole lot of them. 14 carries, 77 yards for Marvin Lewis's squad, and what most believe is the final game for Marvin Lewis as the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals will kick it off to start this second half. Return man is Campanaro. Campanaro out of bounds. We check in with Evan Washburn.
Well, and I spoke with John Harbaugh, and it's not one solution to what they're doing offensively here to start this third quarter. It's everything. It's blocking up front. It's executing some of these plays. It's the drops. There were 5 of them in that first half. As for Marvin Lewis, his message, put that final play behind you, the kickoff and the touchdown. They played a wonderful first half. He was really pleased with the effort, the intensity. And Dan, you mentioned it, and he said it as well, and you can sense it on that. They're playing loose. This is a group that's playing with the freedom here.
Well, Evan, Joe Flacco is 5 of 19 for 28 yards passing. Short pass to Mike Wallace to get things started in this third quarter. And the reaction from this crowd, maybe even some sarcastic cheers that Wallace held onto the ball. 6-yard pickup.
Yeah, we're a long way from the Bronx. That definitely a Bronx cheer. They gave it to Rashad Perriman last week here after he made a couple of catches. Restless natives.
2nd and 4. Williams sets up in the backfield. Flacco off the boot. Benjamin Watson has got a first down. Can the Ravens find some rhythm on offense? And that includes Joe Flacco with back-to-back completions.
Now Flacco finding Benjamin Watson, and that's always a good idea. do have an injured player all the way over on the Baltimore sidelines.
Yeah, it's Jordan Evans.
Yeah. He's had a solid first half.
The athletic training staff is over there with Evans.
Watch his left shoulder as he's going to go down with Watson. All that weight right on that left shoulder.
Watson held on to the football, his second catch. We're going to step aside here in the third. During the timeout, Jordan Evans up on his feet, but heading directly to the locker room. It is Brandon Bell that will step in to replace Evans. Evans is a rookie. Bell is a rookie.
Artie Nickerson also in, a rookie linebacker.
First down for Baltimore. 3 straight completions now for Flacco, going back to the touchdown at the end of the second quarter. From the gun, Flacco steps and throws. It's complete to Woodhead. Down at the 49, just shy of a first down. Bell and Ray combined defensively for Cincinnati.
Well, looking forward to the playoffs if the Ravens get there. Having Woodhead back and healthy and getting his timing down with Flacco is going to be very important. Very versatile player.
2nd and 1, Collins with Ricard in front of him. It's Collins. And it's a first down into Cincinnati territory at the 49. Andrew Billings with the stop. 2-yard pickup for Collins. So they moved the chains for Baltimore. They are now up to 89 total yards of offense. Well, they trail by just 7. Marty Morningweg in his 3rd year with Baltimore, former head coach of the Detroit Lions. First down, deep drop. Flacco out of the pocket. Flacco throws on the move, snaps one, caught at the 41 by Boyle.
Now Flacco running away from Geno Atkins here. Atkins gets inside with tremendous spin move there, and Flacco finally gets a receiver to make a catch on a throw that he's having to make on the run. Good job that time by Boyle.
Flacco was 4 of 18. He has connected on his last 5 passes. 2nd and 2. Back to the ground. Collins. Nice cut back by Collins. He's got enough for a first down. Hit by Artie Nickerson.
Well, coaches love to talk about a player putting his foot in the ground and getting north and south. Watch the left foot go in the ground there, and then right straight up the field for the first down.
Buck Allen in for Baltimore. Williams sets up in front of him. They fake it. Flacco. Low throw. Handled by Watson. First down for the Ravens. So now receivers are making plays for Baltimore. And there's an injured Bengal on the play.
Yeah, another linebacker for the Bengals is down. Good catch by Watson. He's always been known for his great hands. Looked like Vincent Ray. Looked like he got a heel right to the chin.
As they check on Ray, we'll step aside. Vincent Ray was helped to his feet, walked off across the field to the Cincinnati sideline. Carl Lawson, who's a hybrid defensive end linebacker, Paul Gunther, is going to have to get creative here as the Ravens have a 1st and 10. Handoff to Buck Allen. Turns the corner, and Allen is drilled out of bounds by Iloka. 4.5-yard pickup for Allen.
And Iloka may be the solution. Fox a number of times and showed what a sure tackler he is. But Bengals running out of linebackers.
Ravens have been held to 10 points. They've scored 20 or more in 8 straight games. The franchise record is 9, set twice back in '96 and in 2014. This is a 2nd and 5. Fake the jet sweep. Flacco throws, juggled, intercepted. It's picked off by Denard, and Denard is working his way down the sideline. Denard cuts it inside. Flacco trying to get in between, and Denard will take it all the way. A game changer, 89 yards. Chris Moore could not secure it.
Isn't that the irony of all? The ball bouncing around, Denard picks it up, and then he's going to get a convoy down the sidelines. Look at his teammates hustling to get out in front. Key block there that time by Jordan Willis. Boy, and that's been the story of the day for the Ravens in the first half. A lot of passes on target, drop. That time, Moore bounced the ball up in the air where Denard could take it and take it the distance.
What a turn of events here in Baltimore. Chris Moore, who gave the Ravens a serious pulse at the end of the 2nd quarter. Moore juggled it. It became a gift for Denard, who goes 89 yards the other way for the touchdown. And Cincinnati has a 24-10 lead on the Ravens.
This is Denard's first interception return for a score. But he just hung in there. He bobbled it a couple of times himself.
The Ravens had a rhythm. Baltimore had it going. Forget about game changer. That's potential season changer for the Ravens. Still plenty of time. 10-17 to go in the 3rd quarter. But now it's a 14-point game. Flacco had gone 134 straight passes without a pick until that one.
And really not his fault. Ball was on target.
And throughout the season, it's been the Baltimore defense that has created opportunities. 5 defensive touchdowns this season for Baltimore, 2nd in the NFL. It's Cincinnati that comes up with the defensive play of the game so far. Campanaro, the return man from the 9. Campanaro emerges out on the perimeter, and he's out of bounds. Baltimore offense will come back onto the field, trailing 24-10.
Here's Moore right here, and it's going to be a crossing route. They fake to Campanaro. Really good action there. Finds a little bit of a hole in the secondary, but the inability to secure the catch, but then the hustle by the Bengals down the sidelines. Joe Flacco, the last man available. He turns to the inside. Good fake that time by Denard to get into the end zone.
Cincinnati had just 13 takeaways this season coming into action today. 2nd fewest in the NFL, next to Cleveland. Flacco sells the fake, sets up the screen for Collins. And Collins has got a 1st down. Hardy Nickerson with the hit. We send it to Evan Washburn.
Guys, after that pick 6, Chris Moore was slow to get up. Remember, it was his left foot that he banged up early in this game. Obviously made that play before half, so he's fighting through it. Also defensively for Cincinnati, Jordan Evans is out with a shoulder and head injury. Vincent Ray back in though.
And Ray is in there right now. Thanks, Evan. 49-yard line for Baltimore. 9:32 to play in the 3rd. Flacco. Wallace gets stamped. Sean Williams, and it's a clean catch for Wallace.
But they're going to send Wallace off the field because of this hit. A shoulder shot there by Sean Williams.
But his head snapped back. And the line of scrimmage will be the 31-yard line.
Tremendous concentration by Wallace. Big hit here by Sean Williams. That could end Mike Wallace's day. And that, it could be a problem again for the Ravens with no Macklin and no Perriman.
Cincinnati's going to challenge that. Wallace did not have 2 feet in bounds on the catch. So Wallace, right foot down, left foot never touched.
That's right.
In addition to the stinging blow from thumper Sean Williams, he may have just saved a first down.
Well, that blow actually forced that foot. Watch the left foot here. After the hit, he might have been able to get it down, but with that hit, it just changes Wallace's direction. Did the heel touch?
It was really close. The call on the field was a clean catch.
Watch the left heel. Tough to tell on that shot. Didn't look like any grass came up either.
As we know, it has to be indisputable evidence.
There's no such thing.
Yeah, this year it's been more of a gray area.
It's more disputable evidence.
It is. I don't think he touched.
No,
the grass.
I don't think so either. He actually hit Williams' foot. His left foot is going to hit Williams.
You just would think naturally
Wow.
Wallace's foot would hit down on the ground, but because of the hit from Williams, it changed Wallace's body and how it was positioned.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field has changed. The receiver did not get control and 2 feet down in bounds. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be Baltimore's ball, 2nd and 10 on their own 49-yard line. The clock will start on the snap.
Marvin Lewis challenges, and the officials have overturned it.
The issue really wasn't control. He had control. The issue was no left foot down.
So Baltimore back to the 49.
And that's a good use of the challenge, obviously, for Marvin Lewis, and a good job by his coaches up in the press box, seeing the replay and suggesting that red flag coming out would be a good idea.
Collins in the backfield. Wallace is on the sideline, and Adebayo is in there at wide receiver. Collins takes it to the outside, and Collins turns on the Jets for a 9-yard pickup. NFL Today update. JB and Boomer in New York.
No McCoy, go big.
They go real big, go older too. 34-year-old, 310-pound running back Kyle Williams. That's right, Kyle Williams, a defensive tackle on the other side of the ball, scores a touchdown. Buffalo takes a commanding 19-0 lead over the Miami Dolphins as a 2-point conversion failed. Back to Ian and Dan in Baltimore.
Well, you mentioned no McCoy. Huge story there for the Buffalo Bills, losing McCoy in that game. Buck Allen. Good move by Allen. And he's hit inside the 25 by George Iloka.
Really a good job of reading things here by Buck Allen. He's going to come up to the line of scrimmage and then bounce it all the way out to the left side. And right to the 2nd level, to the 3rd level, where Iloka has to take him down inside the 25.
Allen to the sideline. They replace him with Alex Collins. 18-yard gain for Buck Allen. Keep it on the ground. Collins tried to take it inside and picks up 2 yards. Hit by Hardy Nickerson. We are down to 8:07 to play in the 3rd. Cincinnati 24, Baltimore 10. Mike Wallace is out of the pop-up tent, and he's got his helmet on.
He's got his chin strap.
Evan Washburn reporting to us that he is cleared and good to go. Line of scrimmage is just shy of the 22. 2nd and 8 for Baltimore. Flacco fakes and throws. Hits Ricard. Ricard with his 4th catch of the season. And he got tackled by Vincent Ray on the play.
Yeah, the former defensive lineman goes about 300 pounds.
And Wallace joins his teammates in the huddle on a 3rd and 6. Baltimore in field goal range, but we're thinking touchdown, down 14 points. 7:08 and counting left in the 3rd. 1 of 9 on 3rd down conversions. Flacco, he's got his man. Danny Woodhead with the catch, but it's short. Drilled by Sean Williams along the sideline and limited to a 3-yard pickup through the air.
Yeah, good choice now by John Harbaugh to go for this on 4th down. Throughout the year, they've had real good success on 4th downs, 9 of 14. They're going to bring in the heavy artillery, too. They have a couple extra tight ends.
They are 9 of 14. 4th best in the NFL, and a timeout taken by Cincinnati. Still a lot of time left. 6:28 to go in the 3rd. What's the thought process if you're Harbaugh and from your perspective?
Now, you got momentum. You've had a couple of real good drives. I mean, the interception for the touchdown, you know, you got to think about all the positive things you did to get there. And then on this drive, answering that touchdown, offensively, they've got things going. Plus, if you got Mike Wallace back in the game, which appears he's heading back to the huddle, he's going to draw double coverage at some point here. I would like to see Danny Woodhead back in the game, though, just because of his versatility and experience as a 3rd down back.
Huge call here. Baltimore electing not to kick the field goal. Would have made it an 11-point game. They go for it on 4th and 3. It's a toss for Collins. Collins reversing field. Alex Collins turns the corner. Collins dives for the pylon. He's in. Touchdown. Major highlight. 17 yards. Improvisation from Collins.
Well, they don't draw it up. This is a one-man reverse. Collins just totally shut off on the left side, reverses his field. Now he gets Buck Allen in front. Joe Flacco is there, and then it's just tremendous individual effort. 17 yards. Fantastic play by Alex Collins.
That was special. .6:16 to play. John Harbaugh rolls the dice. Aces for Collins. Extra point from Tucker. It's a 1-possession game. Alex Collins, a beautiful run on 4th down. Cincinnati leads at 24-17 in week 17 for Baltimore. We asked Alex Collins, who did he study? Or which running backs caught his eye? He said Ricky Williams, Brandon Jacobs. He studied their moves, the quickness, the acceleration, larger backs. Collins, 17 yards. What a run to cap off that 9-play drive for Baltimore.
I know I go back a ways. That looks like Gil Sayers to me.
Wow. Well, Cincinnati still has not had the ball in the second half. 6:16 mark of the 3rd. They'll get it at the 25.
Well, let's go back and see this tremendous play here. They're trying to go out wide, but a good play here by the Bengals defense. Andrew Billings and Michael Johnson. That's when Collins decides, well, let's try the other side. Now he's going to get a little help. Flacco gets a little bit of a block. So does Buck Allen. But just tremendous, maybe season-saving play by Alex Collins. 1st and 10 for Cincinnati.
Not much there on the running play. Joe Mixon is bottled up by Owasso. 1-yard gain. 6 minutes to go here in the third.
Yeah, a lot of time to go in this ball game, and the momentum again is switched to the Ravens sideline.
Mixon, hole opens up, and Mixon fires through it. Finally tracked down by Owasso. It's an 11-yard pickup for the Bengals.
He's going to break the tackle of Brandon Williams. Going to run right through this arm tackle right there. And then heading down the field, securing the ball. Remember, he had that big fumble in the first half. Watch him cover up.
New set of downs for Cincinnati. They lead it by 7. Mixon again. Got some blockers. Mixon takes a shot at the 40-yard line. Tony Jefferson throwing his weight around. It's a 3-yard gain for Mixon.
Now Tony Jefferson really comfortable playing close to the line of scrimmage. Solid blitzer. He's got 2.5 sacks on the year, but he's almost like an extra linebacker in there for Dean Pease defense.
Mixon 92 yards on the ground, 17 carries, a long of 17. And now Bernard replaces him. 2nd and 7. They put up 141 rushing yards here today in Baltimore. Dalton to throw it. Dalton fires into a tight window, and it's incomplete. A.J. Green couldn't complete the catch as he took a hit from Brandon Carr.
Yeah, been a really good battle between these two all day. Give Brandon Carr a lot of credit for the coverage and then ripping the ball out there as they both go to the ground.
Sets up 3rd and 7 for Cincinnati. Dalton out of the gun. Dalton tried to call a timeout. And he'll get it.
That's 3 times today that he's had to beat the clock by calling a timeout.
And the Bengals have 1 timeout remaining. So Dalton will have a chat with offensive coordinator Bill Lazor. John Harbaugh's team has responded. They were driving on this Cincinnati defense to open up the second half, only to see a juggle by Moore, intercepted by Denard. He takes it back the other way for a touchdown to extend the Cincinnati lead. Baltimore answers on 4th down with a Collins run to cut it to 7. Third and 7 for Cincinnati. Dalton dials it up. Incomplete. A.J. Green with a crowd of Ravens in the area, including Maurice Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Dalton's seeing here. There's 3 guys going to be around A.J. Green when this ball gets there. Humphrey short. There's Kennedy right with perfect coverage. And then Weddle coming over late. That's the epitome of forcing a ball to your top receiver.
4th down, Campanaro, the return man at the 16-yard line for Baltimore. The punt from Hubert. Not much of a rush. Campanaro settles under it. Campanaro makes his move on the outside. 40-yard punt. And Campanaro is out of bounds. Uzama on special teams. Baltimore down 7 with the football. 3rd quarter continues. Here's the update. 4th quarter action. Tennessee on top of Jacksonville 15-3. Buffalo taking care of business against Miami 22-3. If these scores held up, it would be Tennessee and Buffalo in the playoffs, and Baltimore on the outside with no spot. 18 degrees here in Baltimore. Feels like 9 with the wind. Collins tries to find an opening and a flag thrown as he's dropped by Glasgow.
You're going to get James Hurst for the hold here.
Holding. Offense, number 74. That penalty has been declined. It's 2nd down.
That looked like the the play that Collins scored on last time he carried the ball. Horrible result, though, to start a drive.
Clock is ticking. We're down to 3:48 left in this 3rd quarter. They were looking either at a 2nd and 12 or a 1st and 20 if they accepted it. Cincinnati takes the 2nd and 12. Flacco fires. Could not make the connection with Wallace. Late flag thrown.
A really late flag.
Sean Williams back there defensively.
Official had trouble getting the flag out of his pocket.
The officials have a meeting at midfield. Williams was trying to make his case. Wallace was looking for the penalty immediately. And the way Cincinnati is celebrating, they overheard a conversation.
It's not a defenseless receiver here.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Hit to the head of a defenseless player. Defense, number 36. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic 1st down.
Whatever they heard, they misheard because it's against Williams. You buy it?
I'd have to look at it again. They're saying he was a defenseless receiver. Ball thrown short, but it was simultaneous. The ball got there the same time Williams did.
And a 1st down for the Ravens at the 35. Just 1 penalty against Baltimore here today. 3 against Cincinnati. Running play for Allen. He's stacked up.
It's 3 times they've tried that same play, running wide to the left. One time Bengals couldn't defend it, but the last 2 times resulted in a pair of 2-yard losses.
Pat Sims, Michael Johnson there for the Bengals.
Sean Williams slow getting up.
It'll be 2nd and long for Baltimore as we send it downstairs. Evan Washburn.
Well, guys, we'll check on Sean Williams when we can. But note, Geno Atkins not in on this possession. I saw him having his right hamstring stretched out. I was told by the officials down here, nothing medical at the moment with Atkins, but their best defensive player not on the field for the Bengals.
And now it's Williams, Evan, who is limping off for Cincinnati. Glasgow is in for Atkins. Sean Williams in his 5th year. Physical safety signed to a 4-year, $19.5 million deal. 2nd and 15 for Baltimore. Flacco, deep drop. Flacco gets it to Watson. And he's hit at the 37 after the gain of 8. Let's get an NFL Today update. JB, Boomer.
The routine can be difficult.
Wait till you see this. This is Marcus Mariota trying to hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. They actually have been doing it pretty well all year long until right there. This is Ngakoue for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He picks it up, returns it for a touchdown. That's the Jags' 7th TD this year on defense. Titans lead 15-10. Back to you guys.
Huge play defensively and a big play from Flacco to Boyle. 1st down into Cincinnati territory. This game was changed from a 1 o'clock start to a 4:25 start for these reasons, that these games would be happening simultaneously with so much on the line.
Now Boyle with his 2nd catch of the day beats Vincent Ray, and a good adjustment to the ball by Boyle. Showing pretty good athleticism for a guy who weighs 270.
They now have 9 first downs in the second half after just 2 in the first half. Flacco on the delay. Collins. Alex Collins. Nice cut by Collins. Brandon Bell with a stop. 5-yard gain for Baltimore.
Now it's going to be a little draw plays. Skura here. The other guard, Hurst, on the other side. And Boyle gets off on the linebacker. Inexperienced linebackers, your screen plays and your draw plays are going to be most effective because of their lack of experience in recognizing both those type of delays.
Geno Atkins back out there for Cincinnati. He lines up for the Bengals. Flacco on a 2nd and 5. Fake it. Flacco throws to the outside. It's caught. Now ruled incomplete. Benjamin Watson had it, and at the very last moment, it was jarred loose by Dre Kirkpatrick.
That's man-to-man coverage. Kirkpatrick on Watson. Look at the close there by Kirkpatrick, and then the strip. Really a heads-up play by Dre Kirkpatrick. Watch his right hand go right to the point of the ball here and rip it out of Watson's sure hands.
So instead of a first down, Baltimore now facing 3rd and 5. Campanaro shifts to the backfield. Flacco pump. Flacco throws. Soft spot. First down, Mike Wallace. Takes it inside the 30. 12 yards on the pitch and catch.
That's really been the evolution of Mike Wallace's career. Primarily a speed guy when he was with the Steelers, but his ability to make plays over the middle has really bailed out Flacco a number of times since he's been with the Ravens.
Under 30 seconds to play in the 3rd. Cincinnati 24, Baltimore 17. Ravens at the Bengals 29, and that was messy.
Max Williams jumps off sides.
Ball start. Offense, number 87, 5-yard penalty. It's first down.
So back it up. Tight end Williams, the guilty party. Just 2 penalties now against Baltimore. 18 seconds left. Ravens are trying to make the playoffs for the 7th time in the last 10 seasons. Collins could not wrestle away from Geno Atkins. End of 3. Cincinnati 24, Ravens 17. You're watching the NFL on CBS. We start the 4th quarter. Cincinnati 24, Baltimore 17. A win guarantees a playoff berth for the Baltimore Ravens. 2nd and 19 for Baltimore. First play of the 4th. Boyle, the motion man. High snap, handled by Flacco. Underneath, Benjamin Watson dives across the 30-yard line for 8.
Well, now Vinny Ray again injured on the play. He's laying right on top of the legs of Benjamin Watson.
Ray left the game earlier, but pops up. Watson helped to his feet. Sean Williams left. Josh Shaw has been playing in that safety spot.
Ray hit his head right on Watson's hip. And he'll be evaluated for a concussion.
All of this happening on the Baltimore sideline, so Ray will walk across the field. Now starts jogging as they had a little chat. Brandon Bell will step in for Ray. They lost Jordan Evans earlier. Vontaze Burfict out of this game. Inactive with a shoulder injury.
And he talked about Carl Lawson, who's the hybrid defensive end linebacker. Talking to him yesterday, he said he'd rather put his hand in the ground and rush the passer, then drop back into coverage.
3rd and 11 for Baltimore from the 30. Just underway here in the 4th. Ravens trail the Bengals by 7. Flacco throws. Open man, Campanaro. First down at the 15. Flacco delivers.
He's just feeling so much more comfortable in the pocket now. A good route that time, but Campanaro, really a sharp route, got the necessary yardage with the catch, turned his body and gave Flacco a perfect target. Big 3rd down conversion.
8 different receivers with catches today. From the 15. Fake the run. Flacco throws off his back foot. Low throw. Oh, he lost the ball. Nick Boyle. Ball bounces around and goes through the back of the end zone. If it's ruled incomplete, there's no harm done.
And that's the ruling.
Boyle turned upfield, and it got popped out of there.
That's a catch and a fumble.
By Shaw.
That's a catch and a fumble. He caught the ball, turned up the field, and had the ball knocked out. There's the catch, control. There's the pop out.
And the Ravens snap it. Collins is spun down in the backfield by Jordan Willis. Loss of 1.
Heck of a catch by Boyle. But he turns up the field and had the ball tucked away, and it's knocked out by Shaw.
Well, it could have been a lot worse for John Harbaugh. Now they face a 3rd and 11 with 13:22 to go in the 4th. Dre Kirkpatrick is going to the Cincinnati sideline.
Well, you know this will be noticed by Marty Morningweg. His replacement in the game is Tony McRae. Here's McRae. Here's Benjamin Watson. That's the type of matchup you want if you're Joe Flacco.
The official sent Kirkpatrick out of the game. Flacco. Nobody close. Benjamin Watson in the general vicinity, and now it's 4th down for Baltimore. Field goal unit comes on with 13:12 in the clock.
Yeah, good decision to bring out Tucker, Mr. Automatic.
A 34-yard attempt here for Justin Tucker. Morgan Cox will snap it. Cook will hold it from 34 yards away. It's good. Ravens inch closer. They trail 24-20 with 13:08 remaining here in the 4th. Final week of the regular season. Joe Flacco, 18 of 37, 148 yards, a touchdown, a pick. He has had some drops. He had the juggle by Moore that led to the interception and the return for the touchdown. Cincinnati clinging to a 24-20 lead on Baltimore. Tucker will kick it off. It is Erickson deep. Not going to take it out of the end zone. Some of the headlines from the early games. The New England Patriots, defending champions, #1 seed in the AFC, as they beat the Jets to secure it. Minnesota Vikings, we got a first-round bye, clinched that with their victory over the Bears. The Pittsburgh Steelers played mostly backups. They outlast the Browns, and Cleveland goes winless this season. New England, Pittsburgh, 13-3. Jacksonville locked in as the 3. Kansas City is the 4. Baltimore with a win will be the 5 seed. Cincinnati with a football. Giovanni Bernard in the backfield on a 1st and 10 from the 25. Dalton. That ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage and a flag down. Brandon Williams got a piece of it. The official was looking the other way, so he did not know the ball was deflected.
And they got to call Judon for pass interference, but they got to wave this off because it was deflected, or maybe they're going to rule that the ball was just that Dalton's arm was hit and not that the ball was deflected. That could be the call here, the reason for the discussion by the officials.
Also, the timing of it. Was there contact before the ball was released?
There is no foul on the play for pass interference. The ball was uncatchable. It's an incomplete pass. Second down.
Harbaugh was ready with the red flag. Now, Judon made contact there, and the ball never got there.
That's just the 6th play of the second half for the Bengals. The Ravens have run 30 plays here in the second half. Totally different than the first half.
2nd and 10 for Cincinnati. Giovanni Bernard. Not much of a running lane, and Bernard is held to 2 yards on the play. 3rd and long for the Bengals.
That's big Michael Pierce, 340 pounds, along with Brandon Williams, another 340. Carl Davis up front, 321. Their job is to keep the linebackers free to run for Dean Pease and his defense.
Green matched up with Carr. 3rd and 8 for Cincy. Dalton moving pocket. Dalton lofts it out of bounds. Pressure from Terrell Suggs. 4th down for Cincinnati.
And this is not supposed to be a moving pocket either for Dalton, but the pressure here from Suggs. We saw Suggs coming the whole way. There's nobody over there for the Bengals. A.J. Green ran a post route across the middle of the field. He was the only receiver on that side of the formation.
Huber punting. Campanaro at the 31. So pressure sends Campanaro back. Campanaro with room. Out of bounds. Flags fly.
Yeah, late hit out of bounds to give the Ravens another 15 yards.
Brian Hill on special teams. Huber and Humphrey were exchanging words at the end of that play. That's why. Takedown. Huber was upset.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness of the kicking team, number 23. The 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. 1st down, timeout.
So it is the backup running back, rookie out of Wyoming, who's called on the late hit. The Ravens with the football, trailing 24-20. Trying to qualify for the playoffs. Baltimore Ravens have flipped the script in the second half. Offensive plays, it was lopsided first half. It's gone the other way. Total yards, same story. And time of possession, all in favor of Baltimore, but they trail 24-20 with 12:05 to play in the 4th. They take over at the Cincinnati 45. Flacco on time. Mike Wallace, 1st down across the 35-yard line.
And again, Wallace doing most of his damage with out of the slot over the middle, working against the linebacker. Again, that's Brandon Bell, a rookie, free agent. And it's no contest. Good adjustment to a ball thrown slightly behind Wallace.
First and 10 for Baltimore. Woodhead is in there. Sets up next to Flacco. Fake it. Flacco throws. It's complete. He hits Campanaro. That's good enough for a first down.
Good play fake by Flacco, and the lack of a pass rush out of the Bengals is allowing Flacco at 6'6", right over the top of the defense to find his receivers over the middle.
Line of scrimmage is just shy of the 24 of Cincinnati. Alex Collins back in. Hand it off. Collins hits the hole. And he's brought down to the 21. 3-yard gain for Collins. Cincinnati, Brandon Bell and George Iloka collaborate. Collins to the sideline. Personnel changes here for Baltimore. Facing a 2nd and 7 with 10:18 to play in the fourth. Flacco. Underneath. Caught by Campanaro. Turns it upfield, and Campanaro spills out at the 10. Hit by William Jackson III.
Campanaro only had 16 catches all year, but this is 3 now for him here in this second half. Returning punts and then I think some punishment over the middle, but coming through.
Mark them down at the 11, so they can still get another first down. It's 1st and 10 for Baltimore. Woodhead in the backfield. Flacco throws it to him. Woodhead the catch. And driven out of bounds by Brandon Bell. The rookie out of Penn State makes the play on Woodhead.
That's really a good tackle by Brandon Bell. Woodhead is only 5'8", but he weighs over 200 pounds, so he's very powerful. And he can't break this tackle. The good thing that Bell did there is he avoided any attempted straight arm by Woodhead. Got to the body and drove him out of bounds.
Now it's Buck Allen in the backfield. Quick snap. Flacco. Dropped by Ricard. And a flag down on the far side at the 6.
This is in the secondary, so this could be against the Bengals.
$12 men on the field by the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
So a mistake by the Cincinnati defense. Too many men on the field. Marvin Lewis upset. Paul Gunther trying to make his case. And it was Dunlap attempting to get off towards the Cincinnati bench area.
Yeah, taking his sweet time to get off the field. It cost his team 5 yards.
Second and 5 for Baltimore. Shotgun. Flacco. Darts one. Incomplete. Wallace with the attempt. Broken up. Denard for Cincinnati.
This ball's going to be thrown behind Mike Wallace. It's probably a good idea because Denard had inside position on Wallace, and if the ball's on target, Denard might have had his second interception of the day.
Third and 5 for Flacco and the Ravens. They trail 24-20. From the gun, Flacco, end zone. It's caught. Touchdown. Mike Wallace with the grab. The Ravens go in front. Joe Flacco with a bullet.
And a perfect throw away from coverage of Dre Kirkpatrick. A down and out route. Speed cut by Wallace. Ball thrown away from the defense. Wallace with good control of his feet. Makes the catch. Left foot down, right foot down, ball across the plane, touchdown.
Kirkpatrick was scraping at Wallace, who curled inside the pylon. Baltimore 26, Cincinnati 24. The extra point from Tucker to put the Ravens in front by 3. He nails it. We've got 8:48 to play at M&T Bank Stadium. We know what's on the line. A Baltimore win, and they're in the playoffs. The Ravens taking those steps towards a postseason berth. They lead it by 3. Seven plays, 45 yards for the Ravens, 17 unanswered points for Baltimore. The touchdown, Flacco to Wallace, 27-24. Ravens in front. Kickoff from Tucker. Erickson's not going to take it out of the end zone. Cincinnati will have it at the 25 with 8:48 to play.
Andy Dalton and the Bengals have got to get something cranked up. They've only run 8 plays in the second half. That means they're facing a very fresh Baltimore defense.
This is a Cincinnati team that started the season 0-3. They won 5 of their next 8, then lost 3 in a row. That took them out of any kind of playoff conversation. What's looming is probably a new head coach as well. Mixon to the outside. Boy, he's a glider. When he gets out to the perimeter, he can chew up grass.
It goes about 230 as well. So he's got a good combination of that glide and power.
Second and 6 after the 4-yard pickup. We approach 8 minutes to play. Fourth quarter. Baltimore now leading it by 3. Shotgun for Dalton. Getting played Bernard. Tough to bring down, but Bernard cannot break away. C.J. Mosley got a hold of him, and then he was finished off by Brandon Williams. It brings up 3rd down for Cincinnati. For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS. The game between the Cincinnati Bengals and Baltimore Ravens. Ian Eagle, Dan Fouts, Evan Washburn. Our score 27-24 Baltimore. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following the game, except on the West Coast. 3rd and 6 for the Bengals. Here's Dalton. Dalton is sacked! Firing through Matthew Judon for Baltimore.
8 sacks on the year for Judon, and this one was just a blur. As he goes around the little twist move there in the middle. Willie Henry taking care of the interference, and down goes Dalton. Really conservative play calling, though, by Bill Lazor and the Bengals. 2 runs and then a forced pass and a sack on 3rd down.
First sack of the day for the Baltimore defense. Cincinnati punted on 4th down to Campanaro. Big punt. Campanaro, though, has some room. And he's out of bounds. 55-yard kick with a flag thrown back at the 29 on Cincinnati's end of the field.
During the kick, holding. Number 88 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. Baltimore's ball, 1st down.
It is Maley called on the hold. 6:33 on the clock. Baltimore 27, Cincinnati 24. They'll back it up after the penalty. A completely different team in the second half. The Baltimore Ravens did some soul searching during the bye week. They were 4-5. They asked one another, what kind of team do you want to be? They put themselves in the position that they're in here today with a win, and they're in. Tennessee is taking care of business. Buffalo is up on Miami. So now it's on the Ravens' shoulders. Running play, Collins. Alex Collins. Beautiful cut across the 20-yard line. Hit by Josh Shaw of the Bengals.
Well, he is fun to watch. He gets in behind the blocking there of Hurst and then makes that cut and almost gets away from a diving tackle. Interesting to see how conservative the Ravens get with this 3-point lead. Bengals only have one timeout to stop the clock in the 2-minute warning.
2nd and 4 for Baltimore. Campanaro in motion. Give it to Collins again. Collins dances and drives across the 25 right into Dre Kirkpatrick. It's a first down for Baltimore as he picks up 6.
And even while he's dancing, he's gaining ground, isn't he? He was making moves and still heading down the field and punishing the tackler at the end of it.
So Baltimore gets to use more clock. They're coming up on 5 minutes to play in the 4th. Line of scrimmage is now the 27. Ravens leading the Bengals by 3. Straight ahead. Buck Allen. Still going across the 45. Eventually brought down by Nickerson. 19 yards. What an effort by Allen.
Right through here. Ryan Jensen. Hurst out on the linebacker. Hardy Nickerson has to bring down Allen 10 yards after contact here. There's the contact. Look at Allen just drag Nickerson and 2 other Bengals all the way to the 46-yard line.
Vincent Ray on one knee. It's been a rough day for Ray.
Yeah, now the Ravens are basically breaking the spirit of the Bengals.
.442 to go. First down for Baltimore at their own 46-yard line.
And you talked about the ball security of the Ravens all year. They've only given the ball away 16 times. They've fumbled 19, but they've only lost 4 of those fumbles this season. A couple of power backs in Buck Allen and Alex Collins. They're looking to hang on.
On first down for Baltimore. Allen is tossed down by Michael Johnson. No gain on the play. We're going to go under the 4-minute mark. Second and 10 for the Ravens. They have 300 yards of offense. The way the first half was going, that number didn't seem possible for Baltimore. They had 61 yards at halftime. Second and 10 for the Ravens. Campanaro in motion. Running play. Collins goes up the middle for 4. NFL Today update. Let's go to New York. JB and boom.
Boom. NFC playoff side is set.
You can see right there, guys, Atlanta will meet the Rams in the first round of the wild card. Carolina will visit New Orleans. And obviously you can see that Philadelphia is number 1, Minnesota number 2. The NFC playoffs are set and ready to roll. Back to you guys in Miami.
Well, still
wish we were in Miami, Boomer.
Does it feel like Miami to you? It is a bitter cold night here in Baltimore, and still a question as to who is going to be part of the postseason party in the AFC. 3rd and 7. And Flacco throws it into the ground. He didn't like what he saw downfield. Wasn't going to take a chance.
He also saw Michael Johnson covering the back out of the backfield, and it was a wise throwaway by Flacco, but it did stop the clock, obviously.
Dre Kirkpatrick is slow to get up, and now he's on his feet. And he's grabbing at his lower back. And the Ravens will punt it away with 2:51 left. Cincinnati 1 timeout remaining in the 2-minute warning in a 3-point game. Erickson retreating. He's going to set up just inside the 10.
Well, Cook did get a punt block last week against the Colts. It's like the Bengals are going to try and get after it.
Cox will snap it. Cook standing, waiting for it at the 35. Here they come. Cook gets rid of it. End over end. Oh, that ball glanced off Erickson, but it made its way out of bounds.
Well, Erickson and Denard kind of ran into each other when that ball was coming down. Fortunately for the Bengals, it did crawl out of bounds.
41-yard punt. Coming up tonight on CBS. It begins with 60 Minutes and people who are making a difference in America. Followed by SWAT, SEAL Team, and Bull. That's tonight only. CBS.
This was almost a disaster for the Bengals as Maley is fighting off Denard. The ball hits Denard right on top of the helmet and goes out of bounds at the 10.
Cincinnati 1st and 10 at its own 10. Dalton. It's caught by Bernard and angles out of bounds. Brandon Carr there for Baltimore to limit Bernard to a 3-yard gain through the air.
Yeah, this is where Dalton's got to be thinking about 2 guys. Obviously, A.J. Green is probably going to be double covered everywhere, but Tyler Kroft has had a huge game for the Bengals. 5 catches for 50 yards and a couple of scores. Been quiet here in the second half.
Green has 1 catch for 6 yards. Dalton looks that way. And he connects with Tyler Boyd. First down, Cincinnati.
That's a good read by Dalton because A.J. Green took double coverage down the sidelines, leaving Boyd singled out of the slot. Good pass protection for Dalton. And the key thing, Boyd getting out of bounds after the 9-yard gain.
2:31 to play. Marvin Lewis's squad trailing 27-24. Cincinnati has 1 timeout remaining. Dalton from the gun. Floats it. Oh, that ball was up for grabs. Buffalo has held on to defeat Miami 22-16. So now it's very simple. The Ravens have to win to qualify for the postseason. Second and 10 for Cincinnati. 2:28 left in the 4th.
And they're going to put A.J. Green in the slot here, along with Boyd. And motion him, trying to get him away from the double coverage and the press coverage.
Green draws Kennedy. Dalton looks. It's caught by Green. And Green has enough for a first down. Quiets the crowd with 2:15 and counting left in the 4th quarter.
He's going to get a little help by Brandon LaFell clearing things out. Nice adjustment to a high pass by Green.
Dalton sets, throws, incomplete. Kennedy got his hand on it, and we have hit the 2-minute warning. Baltimore trying to hold on and start the new year with a playoff berth. John Harbaugh's squad will clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie. Buffalo will be in the postseason if Cincinnati comes back to win it. Second and 10 with 2 minutes to play in the 4th. 27-24 Ravens. Dalton out of the gun. Out of the pocket, Dalton looks to the sideline, and it's offline, incomplete. Flag down, Brandon LaFell, the intended receiver.
And they're going to get Brandon Carr for pass interference here on LaFell. There's the grab.
Pass interference. Defense number 24. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
John Harbaugh yelling at Sarah Thomas, the down judge on the near side of the field. She didn't make the call. Call was made there. There's the grab. That's clearly pass interference. Ball was on its way to LaFell.
10-yard penalty benefits Cincinnati. Randy Bullock's long this year is 49 for the Bengals. Bernard in space. And he gets clubbed by Clark. We're now to 1:42 to play here in the fourth.
What a great hurdle over Brandon Carr by Bernard. Gets him 4 more yards and a bruise from Chuck Clark.
Career long for Bullock is 55 yards. He did that back in 2014. Dalton on 2nd and 5. Under pressure, Dalton. Incomplete. 2 defenders in the area dealing with A.J. Green. Marlon Humphrey along with Tony Jefferson for Baltimore.
Well, Marlon Humphrey's just done a great job most of the afternoon against A.J. Green. You can see his coverage there. Perfectly blankets Green. That's why the ball was kind of off target. Dalton getting hit as he released it.
Can they get Bullock into range? It's 3rd and 5 for the Bengals.
Now 2 downs to get 5 yards.
1:23 to play. Dalton. Dalton breaks away. Dalton slings it downfield, and it's intercepted. Eric Weddle with a flag down. Penalty marker at the 38-yard line.
And it's going to be holding against the Ravens. So a first down for the Bengals and new life. Great job by Dalton to get out of that pressure.
The pass was thrown, holding. Defense number 29. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Well, check out Marlon Humphrey there. He just tackles Brandon LaFell. Easy call. A tremendous job by Dalton to get away from the pressure, pull out of a tackle, buy time, and get the ball off down the field.
It was Darius Smith who was trying to bring down Dalton. 1:13 to play.
Needs about 15 yards to get into range.
Not going to get it there. Over the head of A.J. Green, and another penalty marker.
This one may go against the Bengals. Legal procedure.
Illegal shift by the offense. Number 18 never got set before the snap. 5-yard penalty. First down.
A bit of a lack of concentration by A.J. Green, never getting set before that ball was snapped. So he's still moving as the ball snapped. Good call by the official on that sideline.
1st and 15, back in Cincinnati territory.
Tyler Croft single covered here at the top of the screen.
1:09 to play. Dalton throws, popped up, incomplete. Croft, the intended receiver. It was Chuck Clark, the rookie out of Virginia Tech, who tagged Croft.
And remember, it was Clark who blew the coverage on Croft's 2nd touchdown reception in the first half. Poorly thrown ball that time by Dalton because Croft had his man beat to the sideline.
2nd and 15 for Cincinnati, just over a minute to play. Green in a matchup with Carr. Dalton. He throws it away. 58 seconds left. 3rd and 15 for Cincinnati.
That's a smart throwaway by Dalton. You know, it's 3rd and 15, but obviously you're going to go for it on 4th down. You have to. So he's got 2 plays to pick up the 15 yards for a first down.
Dalton from the gun. Dalton steps, throws, underneath. Catch is made by Croft, but nowhere to go after the grab as he's hit by Chuck Clark. It's 4th down for Cincinnati. They pick up just 3 yards. The Bengals have only 1 timeout remaining.
And Croft is heading to the sidelines. He kind of slipped as he was coming out of his break there, trying to get up the field.
Final timeout has been used. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, people who are making a difference in America, followed by SWAT, SEAL Team, and Bull. That's tonight, only CBS. Well, here it is. It's 4th down. The Bengals need 12 yards to keep this drive alive and to give Bullock a possible shot for a game-tying field goal.
Dalton's had success throwing to Tyler Boyd out of the slot. He's got single coverage right now. Green for sure will be doubled at the bottom of the screen.
Ravens trying to end it here. 4th down. Dalton steps up. Dalton throws. It's complete. Caught by Boyd. Tyler Boyd. Touchdown. Remarkable. The Cincinnati Bengals have stunned this crowd. Andy Dalton delivers.
Just a great job of finding the single coverage here. Right down the seam goes Boyd. You can see that Kennedy was more concerned with LaFell on the outside. Boyd single covered. Dalton with time to throw. Touchdown Bengals.
Dan, you said keep an eye open for Boyd working out of the slot. That's exactly what Dalton did. Marvin Lewis, a smile on his face in what could be a swan song. And they are 44 seconds away from ruining Baltimore's party. The extra point is good. The Ravens have 3 timeouts remaining, but they now trail 31-27. If Cincinnati wins, Buffalo goes to the playoffs.
Well, Andy Dalton had great pass protection throughout that entire drive, and that allowed him to calmly find number 83 right down the seam.
Lewis has deflected the questions about his future.
As quarterback, 6 of 11 on that drive for all 80 yards. A couple of throwaways and a perfect strike for the score.
Cincinnati will kick it off. Baltimore will have to go the length of the field. Campanaro, the return man. Ravens have all 3 timeouts to work with. Return of it. Campanaro veers to the outside. Campanaro is out of bounds. 38 seconds left. And Campanaro just grabbed at his lower leg as he went to the sideline.
Yeah, he was about 10 or 15 yards off the sideline when he grabbed for his leg. Oh, geez, he stepped on it. It looks like a bag on the sidelines.
That ankle buckled. And Campanaro could have been a factor in the final 38 seconds. Flacco and the Ravens. They need a touchdown. Watson out of bounds. 32 seconds left. 5-yard gain through the air.
That's an expensive 5 yards. Took a lot of time off the clock. But you're right about Campanaro not being able to go. That leaves the Ravens with just 2 wide receivers, Mike Wallace and Chris Moore. Quincy Boyjo also in the game at the bottom of the screen.
Inexperienced. 2nd and 5. Flacco is sacked. Carlos Dunlap.
A great move there by Dunlap. A little head fake to the outside. Got Austin Howard off balance. He gets right to Flacco, and down he goes.
A timeout called. 25 seconds on the clock. The formula was simple for Baltimore. Cincinnati, 4th down, not only converts, they get a touchdown on the Baltimore D. The Ravens were 1 down away from the playoffs. And now they face a 3rd and long with 28 seconds left. Baltimore moving in the wrong direction. 3rd and 14. Flacco pump. Flacco throws it incomplete. And it's 4th down.
And the Bengal defensive line just giving the Ravens offensive line all kinds of problems here with pressure on Flacco. Of course, they know he's got to drop back and throw. They should be thinking about moving the pocket a little bit, letting him buy some time. This is going to take his receivers time to get to the necessary yardage.
Here's their season. Flacco throws it. Caught by Watson. Great effort. He didn't get there.
Nope.
It's short. Vincent Ray helps save the 1st down, and Cincinnati will take over. And Baltimore's season will end right here.
Yeah, he catches the ball. He needs about 8 yards after the catch. How about Vinny Ray fighting off injury after injury, making the tackle, getting some help from Jackson, and clearly short of the 1st down. Tremendous effort by the Bengals.
A stunner in Baltimore. The Cincinnati Bengals with an extraordinary comeback.
Especially when you think about their second half, when they really offensively were unable to get anything going. They went strictly to the pass on that last drive and converting a 4th down. Not only converting, but scoring with it. Unbelievable.
Victory formation for Cincinnati. The Ravens season ends with a thud. The Bengals spoil Baltimore's party. 31-27. The Buffalo Bills are going to the playoffs. Dalton to Boyd. A game-winning touchdown for Cincinnati on 4th down. The Ravens end their season at home. 9-7 for Baltimore. They won 5 of 6 to get to this point, but could not finish the deal against the Cincinnati Bengals in what most believe is the final game for Marvin Lewis as the head coach of the Bengals. They get a win to finish the season at 7-9. The AFC playoffs are set. The Buffalo Bills will go to Jacksonville. The Tennessee Titans will head to Kansas City. New England #1 seed, Pittsburgh #2. They'll wait to see who their opponents are in the divisional round.
Should be a lot of fun, partner. And Happy New Year to you and our CBS crew. It's been a great year.
This one was wild. The Cincinnati Bengals rally for the win and pull off a shocker in Baltimore. 31-27 the final. For Dan Fouts, Evan Washburn, the rest of our crew, Ian Eagle, so long from Baltimore. Happy New Year. We'll send you to New York for more right after this.